Senator Thune, always good to see you. Leader Thune, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I want to quickly play something from the president. This is him being asked about the passage of this on Wednesday, and then him being asked about it again on Monday. Here's what the president said.
Is Senator Thune listening to you when you say you want to pass the Save America Act? He says there aren't the votes to do it right now. What's your response?
Well, he's got to be a leader. You know, he's a leader. He's got to get him. I hope John Thune can get it across the line. He's trying. I think it'll be a very, very bad thing for our country if they don't.
So you hear in the first one, he says he's got to get him and that you have to be a leader. And in the second one, he says he hopes that it will happen. Is the president, do you think he's coming around to a point where he thinks that this may not actually pass the Senate?
Well, I think what obviously he wants to see it pass, and we all do, Martha. The question is, are the votes there? And we won't know that until we get to a final vote. But it's going to assume that there are some Democrats who will vote with us. And it's possible that they will be persuaded over the course of the debate. It's a very indefensible position, in my view, to say that non-citizens ought to be able to vote in American elections. But that seems to be the position that they've adopted at the moment. But we've got an opportunity over the course of the next few days and perhaps into next week to litigate the issue, to have the debate on the floor, and to put Democrats on defense and on the record on whether or not they think it ought to be just American citizens who vote in American elections. This is a very straightforward issue, and we intend to make sure that the choice is clear.
I know a lot of this is very complicated in terms of terminating the discussion of the vote and how it all works in terms of the Senate rules. But for just Americans who are watching this right now and they say to themselves, wait, aren't there 53 senators? Why can't they pass this if there's so much unanimous support? We see 84% of independent voters are on board with this. What would you say to people watching this process who want to know why the Senate has a majority of Republicans and they can't pass it?
Right. Well, that's obviously, that would be the rules of the Senate, which means it requires 60. That's the supermajority requirement that we have in the Senate to pass most consequential legislation. The exception to that, of course, is budget reconciliation, which we used last summer to pass the Working Families Tax Cuts Act. But as a 60-vote threshold, Martha, that is the thing that people should understand about the way the Senate works. And in order to get around the 60-vote threshold, you would have to nuke the legislative filibuster, and there aren't the votes for that. I've said that over and over and over again. Yeah. And so it's a math issue. It isn't whether I want to do this or a question of leadership. It's a question of you have 53 Senate Republicans, all of whom have their own views on these issues, and they decide how they vote.
So the president in the past has suggested, he's fine with getting rid of the filibuster, that he believes that this Save America Act is that important. He also feels very strongly that mail-in ballots have to be part of this as well. I've heard even Senator Capito of West Virginia said, how many of her voters mail in their ballots. It doesn't sound like the mail-in part of this is going to get any traction, even with the majority of Republicans, will it?
We'll find out soon enough. We've worked with the White House to get the language in the legislation in a way that incorporates at least what most states do. So we do have states. In fact, there are a majority of states and a lot of Republican, red states, whatever you want to call them, who have a mail-in ballot option. And so we want to ensure that whatever we do here enables them to continue for legitimate reasons to have mail-in ballots. What we want to get rid of are the ballot harvesting, the drop boxes, the unsolicited mailings, things like that I think can be used and are potentially rife with fraud. Those are the types of things that need to be eliminated, but we also want to ensure that states who do use them, for in particular, if you've got like somebody who requests an absentee ballot, proves that they are who they are, that can vote that way, we want to allow states to make that decision.
All right. In terms of the hearing that we saw this morning for Markwayne Mullin at DHS, it got pretty heated. What did you think of Rand Paul's opener there, where he sort of got into a tussle with Mullin, which has a long history between these two men, over Rand Paul getting assaulted in his front yard, and Markwayne Mullin at some point saying, that he wasn't surprised, or he didn't think, he wasn't surprised that this guy would want to do this to him. What did you think of that?
Well, as I've described it earlier, Martha, these two have some personal history, which they are going to have to figure out how to work through. But the issue here is the job. It's an important job. Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, that position is vacant right now. It needs to be filled. Markwayne Mullin has a lot of support. Any of us who worked with him are very confident that he will do a terrific job over there. So we want to move the process along, obviously. The confirmation hearing was held earlier today, and some of those differences that they had were litigated at that hearing, but at the end of the day, it's about ensuring that we have the right person in the job, and this is a really important job, and we think that Markwayne Mullin is the right person for it.
So just quickly, if you can, Leader Thune, when do you think that vote will be, and do you believe he will pass?
I think they are scheduled to have the committee vote tomorrow. I certainly hope that it passes, and if and when it does, we will have it on the floor sometime next week.
Okay, great. Senator, thank you very much, Leader Thune. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, Martha.